Oh, hi, it's Anna. Okay, so in today's video, I want to read you 10 quotes about books that I really like, and some people are famous that said these things, and some of them are not. But you know what? When you say good things, people will recognize you for it. So this is my way of recognizing people that have said awesome things that you might not have heard. Okay, so the first one I want to read you is, and these are in no particular order, by the way. But the first one I want to read you is by Garrison Keillor, and he said, "A book is a gift you can open again and again." Now there are going to be several quotes in here that are about reading books multiple times, and that's okay because different people have different takes on how many times you should read a book. Personally, I think if a book is worth reading once, then it's probably worth reading multiple times because, you know, the first time you read through and you get the general plot, and then once you read it again, you know, you'll get the things that you might have missed the first time, the little interesting kind of quirks of the author that you didn't notice the first time you read it. So I think it's important to read a book more than once. Okay, the second quote is by Thomas Fuller, and Thomas Fuller said, "A book that is shut is but a block." Now, I think it's pretty fair to say that we've all bought a book, or maybe more than one book, and we're so excited to read it, you know, we bring it home, and we put it on our bookshelf because it looks good sitting on our bookshelf, and you know, who doesn't want more books to put on their bookshelf? But then it just sits there. A couple days go by, you're like, I'm too busy right now, I'll read it later. And then a week goes by, and then a month goes by, and possibly even a year or several years goes by, and then you never read the book. You know, you can't get, like, book reading nerdy cred from reading a book if you don't actually read the book. That's how I was with Paper Towns. And, I reviewed that book, and there will be a link below to my review of the book. But that's how it was with Paper Towns. It sat on my bookshelf for like 9-10 months. And then I finally read it, and I was like, why did I wait so long to read this book? It's amazing. Quote number 3 is by James Bryce, and James Bryce says, "The worth of a book is measured by what you take away from it." This is also another very true quote. People are saying some amazing things about books. You know, a lot of books teach you really important life lessons. Again, you know, if you're not reading a book that you can take something away from, why are you reading that book? You know, most books, I think, in some way will either change the way you think or change the way that you view a certain topic or idea, and some books may even change your life. You know what? Books have the power to do that. Read more. The next quote is by a Roman philosopher named Cicero, and he said, "A room without books is like a body without a soul." And probably a lot of people have heard this quote. I know I have heard this quote several times. First of all, can I get this on a t-shirt? Because this quote pretty much explains my life. My room is full of books. I have books on my desk. I have books on my bookshelf. Like, I have books everywhere in here. So, you know, if you're surrounded by books, then you're surrounded by knowledge. And if you haven't read the books, then it's knowledge that you haven't gained yet. And if you have read the books, then it's knowledge you can reflect on. Oh my gosh, just get some books and put it in a room and your life's gonna be better. But you have to read them. But you have to read the books. It's not just enough to have the books, you have to read them. Now, a video about quotes on books would not be complete without a quote from Mark Twain. And Mark Twain said, "Be careful when reading health books. You might die of a misprint." I have no comment on this, except that it's very funny. Okay, I said these are in no particular order, and that holds true, because number 6 is actually my favorite. It's by a person by the name of Mitch Hedberg, and it says, "Any book is a children's book, if the kid can read." I just have to say, this is amazing. You know, a book that's written for a 17-year-old, or for a generally teenage audience, can be a kid's book if your 10-year-old has the comprehension of a 17-year-old. If the kid wants to read a book that you think is a little old for him, you know, I know there are things, you know, some books have, you know, content that is just not suitable for young children, but some books are perfectly fine and just may have big words in them. But you know what? You're expanding the kid's vocabulary, so let him go for it. Quote number 7 is by C.S. Lewis, and C.S. Lewis said, "I can't imagine a man really enjoying a book and reading it only once." But hey, there's more than one way to say and express a particular thought and idea. This idea is so perfect. Just thank you, C.S. Lewis, for reiterating it in another way. quote number 8 is by Harold Kushner, and he said, "I think of life as a good book. The further you get into it, the more it begins to make sense." And I think we can all acknowledge that we have had an experience where we're reading a book, and then you get to that one part in the book where the title finally makes sense, and it's one of the best parts of reading the book, because, then you understand. For the Hunger Games, probably in the first chapter, it made sense. To Kill a Mockingbird, maybe, for you, the title of the book never made sense. And then you should probably talk to an English teacher, because they will probably give you a good long lecture about the title. And I'm not going to explain to you why I think the title makes sense, because you need to go read the book for yourself. And if you haven't read it, that is a book that I think every middle school, high school student should read before they graduate high school. It's amazing. Quote number 9 is by a person named Toni Morrison. And they said, "If there is a book that you want to read that hasn't been written yet, then you must be the one to write it." I have nothing to say about this other than this is an awesome quote, and once again, can I get this on a t-shirt? Okay, so I already said that quote number 6 was my favorite, but I think quote number 10 can give quote number 6 a run for its money. The final quote is by Edmund Wilson, and they said, "No two persons ever read the same book." I would say this is very true. I don't think any two people will look at a book and get the same thing out of it, the same feeling after reading the book, because there are so many things to be learned from books, and there are so many ways that individual sentences can be interpreted. One of the great things about reading a book is that it is so personal. Based on what has happened to you in your life, or what is going to happen to you in your life, a book will mean a different thing to you today than it will tomorrow. Much less between, two people. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment below which of these quotes was your favorite, and if I didn't mention a quote that you love, put it in the comments. I would love to see it. And with that, I'll talk to you later.